In this session, we are going to apply a design pattern named Page Object Model or POM to our code. So let's create a new feature branch and start coding. Well, let me switch to main branch first. Okay, so we have checked out to main branch and let's do a pull. Let's update our project so that we have the latest changes into main from our remote repo. And now from main, let's create a new feature branch. All right, so let's create plus new branch, and I'm gonna give a name to this branch. So let's give POM, yes, the feature branch name. That means page object model, and let's check out to the branch. Now take a look at our code to verify the login. Okay, we have captured different steps like clicking the sign in link, then filling username, password, and then clicking the sign in button. So all those steps, right? So that's part of this particular test case verify login. Now you can assume that almost every test will have the first step as logging in, right? Because without logging into the web application, you won't be able to perform anything else, right? So for almost all the test cases, the first step is going to be logging into the application. All right, so if you have like 100 plus tests, are we going to add all these tips along with all those 100 tests? That's going to be a tiring job, right? Obviously, we don't want to do that. We want to reuse the code. Okay, not only that, just think about a situation. Okay, so we have a locator here by name, then the login, right? Login username. So this is the attribute corresponding to the email text box, right? Suppose in the new version, the developer is changing the name attribute to something else. Maybe instead of the username, email is used. Okay, so in that case, assume you have this locator placed in 100 different tests. So what will be the impact? You have to go to each of those tests and change it, right? And thinking about it, you will start banging your head on the table, right? So obviously we don't want that to happen. So we want to specify this locator only once at one particular place so that in case if there is a change, then you can change it at one place, right? So it's going to be very easy for maintaining the code. All right, so let's see how we can do that. Well, here, let us move this code to another class and let us reuse it wherever required. Okay, so we have a login page where we perform the login action, right? So whatever is there in the login page of the application, corresponding to that, let's create a new class and we will write all the operations required on that particular page in that class. Okay, and along with that, we will be mapping all the elements as well. Okay, so let's go and create a new class, and for that I'm gonna add a new package first. Okay, let's create a new package under Java, and I'm gonna name the packages pages. So here we'll be adding pages corresponding to page classes corresponding to different pages of application. So here I'm gonna add a new class and I'm gonna name it as login page. All right, and let's add it to Git. Now let us move some code piece to here. Okay, so let's copy the whole stuff from here. I'm gonna cut it and I'm gonna move it to the login page. Okay, so let's create one particular method here for the login. So, and let's paste our code here. Okay, so we'll be using this login method for the login operation in any of the test case. Here we have a problem because we are using the driver here, right? But we do not have the driver initialized, or we don't have the driver object here in this login page. So we need to have the driver here. So let us define the driver here. Let's have a member variable for that. Let's have a private web driver and driver variable here. Okay, and we'll be using that driver here, but it is not initialized yet, right? We need to get the same driver value from this login test class to the login page, right? Because the driver is actually created in the test base class, right? Let's go to test base class and let us check it out once again. See, we have declared the variable here for the driver, and we are creating a driver object here, right? And since we are deriving our test class, login test class from test base, see, we are deriving it from the test base, right? So we are getting that driver object here. Now we have to pass the driver from here, from login test to login page. Okay, so we can do that initialization through constructors. Let us create a constructor here and let us pass the driver object to here. So let's generate the code for the constructor. I'm gonna generate the code using IntelliJ. I right click and then select generate, and let's select constructor from the menu. Okay, and then it's showing member variable driver, so let us select it and click OK, so that IntelliJ will create a constructor for you. All right, so we take a value for the driver, that is, we take a parameter for the driver here and then we assign to here. Right now we'll be able to get the driver here. All right, well, let's see how we will be creating an object for that class here. Okay, in the login test class, we can create an object of login page. So let's create an object login page, and then corresponding to this, we can create an object equals new, and then we can create login page, and we can pass the driver, right? Okay, and this driver will be passed to login page class, right? So we'll get it here. Now the driver is available and you can do whatever you want with the driver. Now we can do some refactoring of this method. All right, because in this we are hard coding the username and password, right? We are sending the keys for the username and the password. But you might need to log in as different uses, right? So we can accept some parameters here and then let's do the login, right? So for that, let us receive email and password here. So I have two variables, one for email and the other one is password, and we can use these two variables for logging in, right? And whatever password that you have, that you hard coded, you can write it in your test class, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the username or the email, and then I'm going to go to login test, and here I'm going to add a couple of variables. Okay, so one for email, and let's keep the value here for the email, and another for password, and let's keep the password value here. So let me just go to login page and copy the password, and let me put it to here. All right, so we have the username and password, right? So these two things, these two values, we will be passing to the login method, okay, as email and password, and we'll be using it over here. So instead of hard coding it here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type the variable email here, and for the password, let us put password variable. Okay, and yeah, obviously for the sleep, truth sleep, you need to have an exception added to the method signature. So let me add that also. All right. Okay, I want to see the whole code in one screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the extended area to the next line. Okay, so it's more readable, right? Okay, now we need to handle one more thing, because if you're passing a valid username and password, you will be able to log in, right? But what if you're not passing a valid username? Okay, in that case, there's going to be a different scenario. You will get an error, right? So that also we need to handle. So let us receive one more parameter as part of this. Okay, let's create a Boolean variable, valid credential. Okay, you will be getting this welcome message, okay, only if it's a valid credential, right? Otherwise there's going to be an error. Okay, so we may have to handle that as well. Okay, so once the sign in button is clicked, you will have to check something, if valid credential. Okay, because you know the test data, right? You know what value that you're passing, whether it's a valid or invalid. You know that because you are writing the test, right? So in that case, what you're going to do is, only if it's the valid credential, then only you're going to verify that. Okay, then you will look for a successful login message. All right, and if your test data has got an invalid credential, then it's going to be a different scenario. You have to get an error message. Okay, so we can handle that part later. Okay, I don't want to complicate everything together, right? So we will be handling it later. So later we will be focusing only on the valid scenario for the time being. Okay, now let's go back to login test and let's see how we can invoke it. Let us invoke the login method using login page object, right? So using this login page object dot, let's invoke login, and then we can pass email and password. Okay, and we know that this is a valid user, so let us make this as a valid user. So instead of, for that, let us say true. Okay, that means we are saying that it's a valid credential, or it's a valid username password. If you want to make another test with a invalid email and password, then we can have another set of values, and then we can make the third parameter as false. Okay, so now take a look at this code. So here we'll be receiving all these three parameters: email, username, email, password, and credential, whether it's valid or not credential, and then we'll be using all these values here, right? Now there is one more thing. There is a welcome message here, welcome automation tester. Okay, this is the display name of the user account. Automation is the first name and tester is the last name, and we want to change this one as well, right? Because based on the user who is logging in, this message will change, so we have to make a change for this one as well. All right, so what we can do is we can take this display message, and we have to create a variable for that. So let us modify this expected welcome message as well. I'm going to add one more variable for receiving the full name of the user. Okay, let's have a string variable and let's receive full name of the user to this variable. Okay, and I'm going to cut automation tester from here, and then I'm going to add the variable here, full name. Okay, and now this is going to be the string that we will be verifying. Welcome, then there's a space, then your full name, and then there's going to be an exclamation mark. Okay, but now you have to pass this full name, right? So as part of the login test, as the next parameter, let us pass the full name of the user as well. So we can have one more variable here, string full name, and you can have the value automation tester. Okay, and let's pass full name also to here. So we have 4 parameters, and we are receiving all of those parameters in the login page, and then we are verifying it here, right? Let us execute the test and let's check the result. So whatever changes that we have made, let's see if it's working. Okay, let me click here and run verify login test, and let's see if it's working. Yeah, the browser launched, it's entering username password. Okay, now it's verifying the message and everything is done. The test is passed now. Perfect. Now let's go to login page class once again, and let us do some more refactoring here. Okay, so now take a close look at the statement find element. Okay, driver dot find element by dot link test, then sign in. Okay, we are clicking a link here, right? So for the find element method, there is a parameter here, right? By dot link text and then sign in. So we are invoking a method here, by dot link test. So this method is returning something, and that's going to be whatever is returned by this link text method is going to be the parameter for the method driver dot find element, right? So let's see what is returned by this method by.linkText. Okay, so let me hover over here so that IntelliJ is displaying about this method, the details of the method, and it shows that this method is in org.openqa.selenium.by. Okay, so till Selenium it's the packages and .by. Okay, that means by is the class name. So there is a class named by, and for this particular class there is a method, right, linkText. And in this method you can see that this is the static method. It's a public static method of the class by, and it is returning by. So an object of by class is returned by the method linkText. Okay, so since linkText is a static method, definitely we'll be able to invoke it with the class name, right? That's how we invoked it. See, we are invoking the method linkText with the class name by.linkText, because linkText is a static method, so we can invoke it with the class name, right? All right, and we also found that linkText is returning an object of type by. That's the return type, right? By is the return type. So we will be getting a by type here. And likewise, all of these methods, look at by.name. Okay, so this one is another method which is a static method of by class, and this also returns a by object. So all these locators are returning an object of type by. So the find element method is expecting an argument of type by. When I hover over find element method, it's giving me, IntelliJ is giving me the details. So you can see that the find element method has a parameter and it is of type by. So we have to specify a by object inside this, right? So here I'm going to rename this web element object. Let me refactor and rename it sign in a link. This is for a slight adjustment. Okay, you will get to know about it. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a by object for this particular parameter. Okay, and I'll be assigning this value. Okay, so let me just take it out. I'm cutting it, and let me create a by object. All right, and then let me name it as lnk sign in. Okay, I want the same name here, that's why I renamed this particular web element object. Okay, all right, now I'm gonna paste the locator here by.linkText sign in. All right, so now we are creating a by object here for the linkText, and let us use that object here, right? lnk link sign in here. All right, so we are good. We, instead of writing the whole line by.linkText over here, we created an object of type by, and we use the object here. So likewise, we can make changes for the other locators as well. Okay, so why we did this change? Okay, let us understand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these locators. Okay, I'm going to take all these locators and move them to here. I want all the locators. All right, so here I'm going to add a private variable, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this locator and place it here. Okay, so I have the locator available here. Okay, and I'm going to add one more, and what I'm going to do is by, and then let us take the next locator. So here by.name, right? That's for the email. So let us cut it and let us make a locator here. It's in text box, right? So I'm going to use prefix txt email equals by.name login username, right? Okay, and I can use this txt email for finding this element, right, for the email. So likewise, let us take the next find element for the password. I'm going to take it here. I'm going to cut it here, and my name is going to be txt password for that particular variable. Okay, so let us create that one here. Let me check if I use the correct name here. Yeah, it's txt password. All right. Now we have one more element that is for the button, right? Let me cut this one as well. And this is the sign in button, right? So let's use the prefix btn for all the buttons, right? And then the name is sign in, right? So this is a sign in button. And let us create and member variable for that one as well. Let's make it as private by btn and then sign in. And let's assign the value of the locator here. Okay, so we have all the locators available here. Now let us test the code. Let's go to login test and let's run it and check if everything is working fine. Okay, we launch the browser, click the sign link, fill the details, logged in, and now it's verifying the welcome message and everything is passed. All right, now let's go to login page. Now take a close look at this class. So we have all the elements here, right? So all these elements are some information regarding the HTML elements, right? So these are some data. So all these are data and we have some methods here. So login is a method, that's an operation, right? Operation to be performed on the data, right? So what concept is that? In OOPS, we bundle data and the operations related to them together in a class, right? That's called encapsulation. So this is a perfect example of encapsulation. So bundling of data and the related operations together in a class. That's encapsulation. We have done encapsulation here, right? Here in this class, we are representing the login page in the UI, right? And all the elements and the related operations of the login page are included in the login page class. Okay, so this concept is called page object model. That means for a particular web page, whatever web elements are there and whatever operations that we can perform on those web elements, we bundle everything together in a particular page class. So what are the advantages of that? We represent each element of the application only in one place in the corresponding page class. So in case of any change in future, we know where to go and modify that, right? Because the element is only in one place. So we go to the corresponding page class and modify it. Job done. It's very easy, right? And we can simply reuse this login method in all of the test cases. We don't want to write all these steps, again and again, right? Now, before committing this code, I need to make one more change which I forgot earlier. Okay, so here we have one more element and we need to create member variable for this particular locator, right? So let me copy this. So this is for the welcome message. All right, so let me cut it here and let's name a variable for this. Maybe since it's a label, we can say LBL welcome message, maybe LBL welcome. All right, and let's declare this member variable. Let me go to here and let's type private by LBL welcome, and then let me paste by dot class name and the class name. All right, okay, there is a typo, let me fix it. LBL welcome, and this member variable we are using here, right, for finding the element of the welcome message and getting the text. Now since I made a change, let me run it very quickly and ensure that everything works fine. Now we launch the browser, click the sign button, enter username password and validate in the welcome message and the browser quit. Okay, so everything looks fine. Now let's commit the code. So there is a shortcut button here for the commit. So I'm gonna click this one in IntelliJ now for committing, or you can select it from the Git menu as well. All right, so now let's ensure that we have selected all the changes. If it is not selected, you have to select all these changes. So we made changes on two files, right? Login test and login page. All right, so let's give a commit message. Implemented page object model. And I'm gonna click commit and push. Let's click push again for pushing the changes. Now let's go to GitHub and create a PR. Let me go to my repo, Selenium study. And here, yeah, the new branch is appearing here, new feature branch. Let me click compare and pull request, and let me ensure that we are creating a pull request from the branch, feature branch POM to main. And then let me click create pull request button, and it's done. Right now, let's merge the pull request from here itself. All right, confirm merge, and we can delete the feature branch now. All right.